I'm wondering if all of that clanking and banging is coming through. Hey there, everybody. Today's December 16th. We've been clearing a little bit more of the pine. What we've got over here is a rough sketch. It's not in its final location. It's really just a tree that I was removing, cut to lengths, so that I can kind of envision a little resting spot down here tucked into this little wood line right here, just beside the pond. Long term, I'm hoping to replace these sets of trees right here with some lower shrubs and make it kind of like a nice little glamping spot for myself. A little salt box, log cabin. But the beautiful sounds of nature are occasionally disturbed by some kind of heavy machinery off in the distance in that property that abuts ours. And if not that one, then properties behind some of our neighbors. And yeah, I'm all for building more homes, but I am concerned about whether or not those will be priced realistically for folks, and I doubt it. But the real point of this video today is coming over in here. And what I'm doing is a little bit of early season pruning on these blueberries over here that we discovered earlier this season. Forgive me while I get some gloves and things situated here. So, the nearest that I can figure is that this was either buried a bit or it had a lot of deer browse on it that caused it to have just this mess. So I'm looking here at this particular bit of wood, and there's an interesting bit of change to it. So I'm not sure if that's tips dying back and going redormant because we've had a little bit of weird weather, or if it's something else. But what we're going to do is we're going to come in here with a pair of snips and just focus all that growth potential right in here. I'm going to clip this guy to get a better sight line, and boop. All that weight gone. We can see fresh shoots in here. So coming in and trimming off all the dead stuff as best I can and as neatly as possible. I don't want any of this getting in the way of the new growth. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of flower buds on this particular one. And I think that's interesting because I would expect to see more, given that I'm seeing more on some of the wild blueberries up front. And I'm curious if it's just a temporary adaptation to the lack of sunlight they were getting, although I can see a few in here. So that right there will be a flower bud, but that's going to be small. And these little itty bitty ones, those are leaf nodes. So if you know what you're looking for, and I'll see if I can find some more examples as I'm going through this, you can kind of trim up your blueberries to make sure that you're going to get a good fruit set, similar to pruning up apple trees or pear trees, which I also have to do, but that's a consideration for a different video, possibly. Come back in just a moment when I'm done trimming these up and you can get a sense of what we're going for. Back in a tick. So here we are just a few minutes later, and you can see I've been considerably aggressive with some of these cuts. This particular bush used to be, up here at eye level. I definitely poked myself in the face a few times while I was trimming this up, and the guy right to the right of it, this one right here, is looking a little bit more like a blueberry tree than a blueberry bush, and I'm okay with it. I do have some compost from the chicken yard, as well as some ash to spread back here, give them a little bit of a boost, but their entire canopy is pretty much eastern white pine, so the soil and the associated microbacteria in the soil and the fungal groups in the soil should be making this a nice happy spot. I have some more visual cues for you. So this big bud next to my index finger, that, if it doesn't die back because of the weird weather, would be a flower bud, whereas this itty bitty one here in between my two fingers would be a leaf bud. So I'm disappointed in the number of flower buds that I see on these, but I'm hoping that with all of these rejuvenating cuts we're making, there will be a higher concentration of all of the good stuff that they're transporting up and throughout their cell structures. And this way, they will be able to provide fodder for the birds, who will work to further fill this space with more of the blueberries that I'm looking for. So, I hope this was interesting. Hope you guys are doing well. What kind of pruning regimes are you doing for your plants? Love to hear from you in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and happy planting.